Hi, seventh grade scientists. Miss Ruley here. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a line graph. Seventh grade science, we make a lot of line graphs. So it's really important that we're all on the same page and we use all the same rules for making line graphs, okay? So very first thing that I want you to do is make sure you understand the x-axis versus the y-axis. So this is the x-axis, okay? Going up is the y-axis, okay? We put the independent variable always on the x, and the dependent variable is always on the y, okay? So it's really important that you know the difference between those variables. When you're looking at your data table, okay? Your data table, we're looking at the minutes studying and grades on a science test is what we're going to be graphing today, okay? So the way we set our data tables up is independent variable goes on this side, okay? Dependent variable goes on this side, okay? So independent variable is the minutes studying, and the dependent variable is the grades on the science test, all right? So next, we have to label. We have to label our graphs. So we know this is the x, okay, and this is the independent variable. So I'm going to write minutes studying. Every time you write your labels, your label has to have a unit. My unit is in minutes, and my label is studying, okay? Now, look at the numbers. When you're looking at how are you going to set your number pattern up, you always look at your data table numbers, okay? So in the minutes studying, I have a 0, I have a 10, I have a 20, and I have a 45. My biggest number is 45, okay? And then I look at my line. And always, 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 that very, very, very corner spot is 0, okay? Where the two axes meet is 0. So I have to get to 45. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Always count how many lines you have to go across. Well, I want to try to use up as much of the space on my graph as possible. Your seventh grade teachers, Ms. Wolfgang and I, really want you to do that. So we want you to really spread it out. So I'm going to count by 5s, okay? So make sure when you're numbering that your number goes directly on a line, okay? Just like this, directly on a line, okay? See how my numbers are not hanging out in the middle of the space? My numbers are directly on a line, and they're equal distance apart. I went by 5s, okay? Now let's look for the dependent variable, the y-axis, okay? I have grade on a science test. I have a 50, a 65, an 80, and 100. My biggest number is 100. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's not always going to be divisible easily, but then you can say, well, I can count by 3s or 5s or 10s, or you start to figure out, okay? So I'm going to count by 10s to get it all in there because I have to get to 100. Same thing, numbers go right next to the line. And then my label, grade on a science test. I need to write percent in there as well, right? Because that's how we measured it. So I'll do that in parentheses. So this should be a little bit lower, but I didn't have any room. Okay, so this label should be lower. So grade on a science test, and see how I have percent in the parentheses, so that's showing you the measurement, okay? Now I need a title. We're comparing what is the effect of the minutes you spent studying and your grade on an actual science test, okay? Titles for 7th grade science, they're not fun, they're not cute. They have the independent variable and the dependent variable kind of put together, so you're not asking a question in your title, put together in a statement. So I'm going to say the effects in capital letter of study time on grades on a science test. Okay. So I put the effects of study time on grades on a science test. So capital letters, you're writing a title, right? Title of a book gets capital letters. So it's capitalized. And again, it has my independent and my dependent variable. Okay? Now it's time to start plotting. Pencil, ruler. If you had to make multi-lines, and we do that sometimes in 7th grade science, then you would need different colored pencils. I'm only making one line, so a pencil is fine, okay? So the first one, this person studied 0 minutes, they got a 50. So I go over to the 0. I go up till I find 50, and I make a dot. Make sure you make your dot big enough so that Mrs. Wolfgang and I can see it when we're grading it, okay? Now I go over to the 10 for the next one, up to 65. So I go over to the 10, I go up to the 65, but wait. Look at the graph. I have a 60 and a 70. There's no 65. Well, I need to figure out where it's going to go. And it's going to go right in the middle of my 60 and 65, okay? So I'm going to go over to the 10 and up about halfway between 60 and 65. I'm sorry, 60 and 70, okay? Take your ruler. Some kids like to connect the dots as they go along because it's easier for them to follow. And some kids like to connect the dots at the end, whichever works for you, okay? Just make sure you're connecting the dots correctly. Okay? Then you're gonna go over to 20 and up to 80. So I go over to 20, I go up to 80, and I put a dot, okay? And then I go over to 45 and up to 100, and I put a dot. And then I'm going to connect them. And that is how you make a line graph for 7th grade science, okay? Independent variable, labeled, right, and has a measurement. It is equal distant apart. I go by 5s, okay? And then my dependent variable going up the side, labeled with a unit of measurement. And this side I counted by 10s. It's totally okay to have one number system this way and a different number system this way. It's okay, all right? My title, capital letters, includes your independent variable and your dependent variable. And look, I can see the dots, and then I connected them. All right, good luck, 7th graders, 7th grade scientists. You will do just fine. Bye-bye.